no greater sign. And by the way, you're watching House Sparks Mega Worldwide. I am the Democratic machine. I am the establishment. I am the deep state. I may not hit bottom, but I'll scrape the shit out of the sides. And I'm glad you're here. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show, etc., etc., etc. Now, you can to my immediate right, your left. You'll find Roseanne Barr, also known as Roseanne Arnold at one point, I think, and also just Roseanne for most people's recollection. She's right up there with Cher and Sting and Trump and Cat Turd. So, yeah, Roseanne. Roseanne apparently is no better example to explain that we are, as a country, in hell right now. A baby-eating, necrophiliac, pedophile, lizard people, space alien, QAnon hell, which is anyone can see it. Now you might push back on me saying that, like, how? But she looks like she's living in relative comfort. She's getting her hair done. She's wearing a Blondie shirt, which I find sad because I have a hard time believing she listens to music at all. Also, it's sunny outside, and there's lots of greenery and white furniture. Now, I don't know a lot about the end times. I've had my nightmares like many of you had, and as a big post-apocalyptic sci-fi fan, I have a general idea. I like The Walking Dead till they killed off Glenn. But one thing I do know is during the apocalypse, or certainly the immediate aftermath, white furniture is fucked. Yeah, I'm just saying it's a mistake. You're gonna want, I don't know that you're gonna want leather, but you're gonna want like that vinyl you can clean off. You know what I mean? I think that's important. Yeah, because it's just gonna be a mess. You know what I mean? For that fire and brimstone, and there's demons and zombies, and obviously pestilence. Pestilence. So you're never gonna. I mean, that's like nobody wears white pants in the apocalypse unless they're Jesus Christ themselves, or the Antichrist, I suppose, would also kind of just showing off. But yeah, so this is and she's got on Rudy Giuliani because it's not enough to have one disgusting lunatic in this video. We need two. And the title of this is Biden is in love with Iran. That's right. Biden is in love with Iran. By the way, ISIS and Iran are mortal enemies. And anybody that would destroy ISIS's caliphate is helping Iran, whether they mean to or not. Just saying.
In 2012, right, on a socialist thing, because I wanted to run against Obama, who's...
Oh, she was running in 2012 on a socialist thing. So she's... a lot of her followers think that she's a chaos agent who's sent by the Mossad because she's Jewish to undermine the movement and embarrass Trump. And they look back on, the fact that she ran as a socialist and that she grabbed her crotch and spit after singing the national anthem and all that shit. And they think that she's not a convert, that she's actually a mole, just to catch everybody up on the lunacy that is sort of like this. Almost like you need a lunacy translator. Sorry. Okay. And the audio is a bit loud. Excellent. I will fix that if I can. Okay.
Scared me.
Right.
But I was like, well, let's get naked if we're going to talk about socialism.
I don't think that's required. God, I hope not. I mean, it's bad enough seeing Richard Wolff's face.
Not that fake stuff
right.
You're talking about, Obama. And I confronted all of that as a real socialist, right? And
no, not right. No, not as a real socialist. No.
Then I saw what was frightening to me was the amount of...
That socialism is a bridge ideology that leads to communism, according to Stalin and Mao Zedong and people like that. And you just didn't bother to... Well, a true socialist wouldn't bother to read up on that stuff. I suppose.
Jew hating that was within the left. It was just starting.
Wow. You just said Jew hating. Wow. If I could get an erection, I would have. Wow.
And everywhere I would go in America to speak about, Americans and profit sharing, which, in some way they could say is a socialist thing, but it's right.
Profit sharing is not socialism. There's not even any profits in socialism. It's just productivity.
Right.
Yes.
It's the
Sure.
right thing.
Sure.
Right. So everywhere I would go to speak, these people who were American, they would their first question to me was, what about the like robots, what about the Israeli occupier of the West Bank and the Palestinian homeland? What about that? Whatever.
I'm gonna, okay, sorry, it's a little bit loud still. Sorry. I'm gonna go with, that's not the first thing people came up and said to her. I'm gonna go with, the three people that said something along those lines halfway into a fucking conversation. Are all she remembers of that time. Just for the record.
What is and their voice would be like this, like a robot. And I'd say.
Or you remember them as being monotonous because you were in the habit of ignoring people back then and still are. Roseanne, I don't understand why you won't have me on your podcast. Besides the fact that I'm not coming to your house. Because your son freaks me out.
Excuse me. What about what do you know about stand your ground gun laws in this state that you live in,
Right.
What? Because that was around the Trayvon Martin time.
Right.
I go, what do you actually know about the law in your community that controls your entire life and you want more of that shit?
Right.
What do you know about reality? And they'd be like, don't.
Wait a minute. You're arguing with people who those people that you would be talking to, the left, quote unquote, at your socialist rallies that are asking you about Israel occupying Palestine are not pro stand your ground laws, dum-dum.
Try to change the subject from the racist apartheid state of Israel. So I had to get out.
What is he nodding at? You weren't with her then. She was barely talking to you when this shit was happening.
There. And plus I had a Muslim
just on retainer or
woman as my campaign manager and somebody from a man from Nation of Islam here in America who was
well, yeah, it's kind of an American organization.
A pro-American Muslim man who
sorry. We're not talking about Farrakhan, are we?
Did all these great things in Texas for children and education.
Yeah. I mean, like Mike Johnson has, or Dennis Hastert did, or Mark Foley did, or any number of youth pastors have done. They do a lot of great stuff for kids.
And a black woman as my also campaign manager. Well, these white people on the left, they got in their face and they said,
oh dear.
They called them not the right kind of Arab, not the right kind of black man, not the right kind of black women. And
I think she means that literally. But I also don't know if she's just filling in racial slurs with that.
I was like, you're ungodly racism. I can't stand it.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely true.
Projection. And so that's why I left.
Maybe I'm just going to go out on a limb because this seems to be an ongoing refrain with Roseanne's view of the world. Maybe it's your fans. Maybe you've just cultivated a clique of people, the kind of people that would come see you, or the kind of people that would take what you were doing seriously or would think it was a lark and thought it was just like a trolling campaign. Whoever it is, whoever you're drawing, that's who you believe is a reflection of the country. It ain't. It's a reflection of you.
And my platform was very much a populist platform.
You know, like most socialists.
Then I had interviewed Trump in 1998 on my talk show, and I told him at the time, had him and Michael Moore on as guests, and we all three debated, because back in that time it was legal to debate and converse. It's still legal.
Well, I mean, it's still legal to debate. It's just now you assholes all cower together. You have a podcast literally where you only bring on sycophants who already agree with you.
We were talking about capitalism versus, we were talking about economic systems.
Yeah, capitalism versus fucking whatever else is the thing that there's a thing that they have. That there's also a thing. There's other isms. I don't know. Off the top of my head, honestly, I'm going to go with jingoism. No, that has something to do with Santa Claus, I think.
And Trump won like a SOB. He flattened Big Fat Michael like, a pancake. And
am I the only person that's creeped out by this groper's fucking laugh? Yikes.
I said, you ought to run for president. And he shrugged me.
Oh, so it's your fault.
Off. Well, here it comes. I had just run for president. Then I hear Trump speak, and he's saying so much of what I said.
Yeah, nobody's ever accused him of being original.
That I was like, oh my God.
He stole from me. He's a fucking thief. I fucking hate that guy.
God, he's for real.
He is for
he's for real. You can tell he's real because he stole my fake populism, and now he's pretending to believe it.
He is.
It's an amazing
real.
thing that people and you can understand it because he came up as a celebrity, and they, by and large, they just.
No, he didn't. He became a low-res celebrity because of The Apprentice. He came up as a New York dickhead, as like a cross between American Psycho and Bozo the Clown.
Trust a lot of the celebrities, particularly people who would be inclined, middle-class people, and but I think they picked up
middle-class celebrities
right away that he makes decisions the way
idiots do, impulsively, the way a rapist does.
Our old-fashioned politicians used to make decisions. What's right?
You mean the guys who were in smoke-filled rooms that made deals with captains of industry during the robber baron era, that kind of shit?
For America.
Yeah, what's right for America.
Now, he could be right or wrong about that, but that's what he's thinking about.
Yes, he is.
It was wrong most of the time. The irony is that, is it better to have somebody who thinks they're doing what's right for America but gets it wrong, or someone who thinks they're getting what's right for them in spite of America, and it helps America anyways? Reaganomics.
He makes a decision, and then you worry about the political party. You don't start with the political parties are supposed to advance the good of America, not the good of the political party.
Right.
That's why we have it.
No, they're supposed to represent what's largely a collection of voters that have a particular philosophy. You guys just have a shitty mafia like leftover. Like a sad party at 2:00 in the morning where most people have left, and so it's like, hey, are we gonna start this party or what?
I mean, I'll tell you one thing that bothers the heck out of me. You know how they want
people who check ID, hotels, bars of soap. Because they're always, you lose them.
to change the names of everything. Anybody who had any association with slavery, like George Washington, because he had slaves, or Jefferson, who tried everything he could do to free the slaves, and he just couldn't do it. But why don't they change the name of the Democratic Party? The Democratic Party promoted slavery. The Democratic Party almost created its continuation in America.
No. But also the reason we don't change our name is because it's not based on a person's name. It's based on the principle of one person, one vote. The expansion of that idea to a bunch of other people, to include everybody, is kind of the entire point. It's actually living up to its standard. Whereas Republicans are against anybody but land. It is literally the vote of slaveholders that they were trying to reignite.
Democratic Party supported the other side of the Civil War.
Right. And then we had the Civil Rights Act, and Lyndon Johnson said we've lost this. The Democrats have lost the South forever for, I guess he said 50 years, I think. And he was right. And those Democrats became Republicans. The question is, why didn't the Republicans shun those fuckers and say, get your own party?
And the Democratic Party did segregation.
Yeah.
And right
Jim
up until
Crow.
Biden, right up until Biden, his best friend was the Grand Poobah, or whatever you call him, in the Ku Klux Klan.
Yeah.
So that party is completely associated with slavery. On the other hand, the Republican Party was founded to end slavery.
Yeah, Lincoln.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, Lincoln.
I mean,
And the irony. These assholes just want to pretend that the 60s never happened.
going to go back to those days.
It's the same. Dinesh D'Souza pushes this shit all the time. They just want to leave out that switch part where the Dixiecrats became Republicans.
Well, that's why
they
they
need a
don't
new
want-
name. If we
no,
get a-
Rudy, that's why they don't want to go back
The
to
Cleveland
those
Indians
days.
have to change. They should change.
And did you see that?
Well, democracy is the point. Democratic rule is the point. One person, one vote, regardless of sex or race. That's what we stand for.
The actual Native Americans were petitioning that to bring the name back.
Well, they don't.
Yeah, they totally, the actual Native Americans, all of them, since they're all the same.
They don't matter. The Native Americans don't matter. The blacks don't matter. If the blacks mattered, these cities that are setting records for murder, like Philadelphia set a record for murder 2 years ago, more than ever in 250 years.
Baltimore.
Chicago.
Yeah, but also the population's way up too, not by percentage, by actual population. That's always how it's going to be. Sorry. As long as we're a free people anyways.
On weekends is like a war zone.
It is. I mean, it's interesting. I've seen a lot of, I've done a lot of stuff in downtown Chicago, and you can almost not hear the movie over, the war movie over the war outside.
St. Louis, Baltimore. They're all Democratic mayors.
Okay.
Soros paid for DA.
Yes, absolutely.
This is all
Yeah, absolutely.
because of the Democrat Party, and it's racism. Because the people suffering the most there are black people, and they don't care. They don't care about what happens to those black people.
Because I had to go up there because my son went to college there, and so I'd go visit him. Plus, I broke my knee, and I had to live there for 3 months in this
I don't know. I don't want to hear the story. Neither do you.
hotel. But I go outside.
Yeah, you had to. I mean, you break your knee. You got to live in a hotel for 3 months. It's just how it works.
It was that part where downtown.
Right.
Everybody homeless, about 90%, they're black on the streets. In Nancy Pelosi's district.
Okay, 90% of the homeless people in San Francisco aren't black. Just saying. Again, this is another. We got to talk a little bit about Roseanne and to some degree Giuliani's, although definitely Roseanne. The blinders that she goes through life wearing. You can just tell, she has 3 things she hears, and everything else is just the buzzing of flies to her.
And then she gets down on one knee with an African scarf. I almost puked.
Yeah.
It is disgusting. They totally disfranchised and took everybody's house, and they became homeless, and that was...
Wait a minute. In San Francisco? What the fuck are you talking about? It's one of the most rent-controlled cities in the country.
their thanks
And of course,
for voting Democrat.
Nancy and her husband became zillionaires based on his insider trading.
Yep.
Yep. Because he was at these parties and he was seeing who was there, and he was like, oh, that business looks like it's going to do well. And they put a little bit of money in these startups because it's fucking Silicon Valley is right next door. And then they made a bunch of money since .com. Gee, who would have ever seen that coming?
Other
Because they're basically retirees, only she's got a paycheck.
people go to jail for. I mean, they are
Also, we'll talk one thing about the idea that some people can invest in companies that are in their district, and maybe they get kickbacks for that district. Would be the idea that, let's say, the insider trading aspect would be that you get there's going to be a big government contract. So you invest in a company that is going to get a big government contract before they get the government contract, and before anybody else knows about it, and then you ride that out and then you sell the stock once it's reached a certain point. Or you have a district that you run and you can get money to subsidize a particular business that isn't, that has a low IPO or low stock price, and it's happening. And so you buy in at their point, and then you bring in money into the district through federal funds, and that helps that company grow, and you benefit from that profit under the table. Those would be the two primary insider trading ways that somebody in the House anyways could actually do this shit. Insofar as I know, and I'll have to look. Hold on. Let's just bring it up because it's better. Like rather than Nancy Pelosi's district. It's the 12th congressional district. Let's see if there's a map of it. There should be. San Francisco, open your golden gate. Open your gate and let me in. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to try and find a map of it. Yeah. Okay. So here's the map this fucker out. Okay. So for those of you who don't know, let's see if maybe I can move this over. Yeah. Where's down here? Yeah. It's not really showing. It's like over to the south, but I'll show you. So her district, Nancy Pelosi's district, looks like this. This is it's not very gerrymandered, and quite frankly has a lot of water because of boats and shipping and docks and all kinds of other shit. But this is her district. This is which is part of this little island, this little area over here. It doesn't count this. It's the waterways around this. So they, and the ports is effectively why, because they're under the control of that district in San Francisco. You know what's not in her district? Cupertino, which is where Apple is, for example, or any of that area, the Silicon Valley part that's outside the city, over south of Oakland, and then down by San Mateo and that area where all the startups are, ain't in her district. So she's not bringing funding to those companies by bringing funding to her district. Does that make sense? Like she can't backfill companies that don't deserve it by bringing home, pork barrel projects and getting them funded in her district. So the idea that they just went living in San Francisco, even if they're just at the right parties and they're going, who the fuck is that guy? He's got this startup thing called, whatever, fucking Postmates or something, and they're working on this thing and they're catering tonight. And it's like, oh, this is fantastic. Yeah, they have this thing where they're bringing food in. Like, all right, what's the stock at? Like $3. And all right, well, I'll buy into that kind of stuff. That happens all the time in those kind of parties. It's very different. That is not insider trading. And none of these companies, insofar as I know, have gotten, district aligned information. Now, she was speaker, so she did stuff for the entire country in those terms. But even still, none of it, from a Republican side, there were a lot of tax break stuff that you could argue that there could be a potential for insider trading. But just knowing shit, I mean, they could be just as wrong. Look at the .com bubble, so
fabulously wealthy. But she comes out of a Baltimore political Democrat machine.
Yeah.
That is an example of what's
I feel seen.
wrong with the old American city.
I see. So Baltimore produced the longest sitting female Speaker of the House, and she was a Democrat, and she served honorably the district in San Francisco, and that's what's wrong with the system.
The only thing wrong with the old American city is it's a dictatorship. Right. New York City is not a democracy, a republic. It's a Democrat dictatorship.
Yes, it is. That must break your
except
heart.
For Staten Island. I broke through it.
Well, can we ask, how did you do that? That's what I want to ask.
Because he was helped by the Russian, the Chinese mob.
I broke through it because, first of all, the population was a little different.
You want to talk about hell? Holy shit. Wait.
This makes some difference. It was 5-1 Democrat when I won. It's now 7-1 Democrat.
Geez, it's almost as if they learned their lesson after you were in.
And the Democrats were different.
Yeah, they
I
were.
mean, I got a big Democrat vote.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did.
I had a real Democrats
Yeah, but then they saw who you really were, of course.
for Rudy group that was almost as strong as my Republican and Independent group. I couldn't get that today.
No.
No, because they've seen the Borat movie.
Today, the Democrats in New York want to put me in jail.
Well, that's because of crimes you committed. Also, I guess that would tie into this thing. Also, the Borat movie.
They'd like to see me. They took away my law license, the Bar Association, because
you're a liar and you lied under oath.
they are ideological Democrats.
Or ideological legalists.
And Trump haters.
Well, that's a natural thing, though. That's the default for humanity.
There's a sickness. This Trump thing is a sickness.
Isn't it?
You know, if you just step back from it, what does the guy do that's so bad?
Rape, sexual assault, bragging about it, lying to banks that his properties are worth more, lying to the IRS that they're worth less, perpetrating a fraud on the American people that he was a billionaire this entire time, hiding his taxes when they finally come out. He's indebted to God knows who, having LLCs for over 1,500 LLCs that he's signatory to. 500 plus are just bank accounts. God knows who is on the other side of that because they're blind LLCs. So nobody can even see who's pouring money into these fucking things. It could be anywhere in the fucking world. Engaging in profit making, specifically as president, just through the old post office building, or the fact that he sold an apartment to the dude from CEFC and he's for $5 million, and he's accusing Hunter Biden of being on the fucking take for being engaged in helping the guy try to buy a natural gas processing plant in the United States that he wouldn't actually serve on or be part of. It was just a sales process, but this motherfucker had an empty apartment that the guy just bought from Trump to sit on so that one of these apartments could sit empty but paid for by the Chinese government, running the fucking, the mob ran out of 2 floors in Trump Tower, gambling and prostitution and drug ring. The Chinese mafia did the Alpha Bank and the HSBC. The Chinese bank had a branch in his fucking office during the time he's in the lead up to running for president. Let's see what else. Being fucking gross and orange. Instigating a failed coup against the United States of America, being a violent sociopath and acting like opening fire with a 50 cal on women and children trying to seek asylum in the United States is a viable option for dealing with immigration. Building the wall and making the border more open than it was, like an asshole. I'll think of some more later.
I mean, say you don't like his personality.
I don't like his personality. My God, it's liberating.
But now we look at the condition of the country. He didn't have any wars, right?
Yeah, he did. Russia was still in Ukraine from 2014. He didn't get them out. Syria, deaths of our soldiers in Africa, Afghanistan. He ran on getting us out, never did.
We've got all those people in Ukraine.
They don't like that.
Those people in Ukraine would all be alive if he were president, because
Well, if they were, they'd be in pens.
Putin would never have gone in if he were president.
Horseshit.
I don't think there's anybody in the world that believes that.
Israel too.
Israel too. Like this fucking idea. Like they're gonna run on this. I mean, because you can't prove a negative, so they're gonna sell this one all they can. But fucking just get lost with this nonsense.
Israel, I think you never would have had this happening in Israel. It didn't happen.
No, there was never any violence in Israel before Trump, and certainly none during. Let's see. Sorry. Let's see. Let's see. 1 second. I'm trying to find the Olson. I gotta go back far enough. I don't want the news. Let's see. Trump. I'll find it. Give me a second. I'm sorry you have to look at Rudy's fucking face during this. Hold on. I will tell you what. I'll bring this down here. I'll wait for this page to wake up. And then we'll go to you guys. So there's, sorry, that's Nancy Pelosi's district. I'll fix that. 1 second. Hi, guys. Talk amongst yourself. Hold on a second. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Dink. Melbourne. Let's see. Algeria, Quebec, Ottawa. And Abu Dhabi, Sydney, France. Can you imagine, by the way, Trump saying or Biden saying, if I'd have been president during Trump's term, Charlie Hebdo would have never happened? Just think about that for this. This is the same shit. It's the same, yeah. Hold on a second. Hold on. There it is. There we go. Israel. One of the things I have to say, hold on, like if you give a specific date for the fucking things you're trying to look up, and it would be nice if the Google didn't just go, this is the newest thing. Oftentimes I'm looking for the newest thing, and then it gives me something old. It's so weird. Like maybe I'm just asking the wrong way. I need to ask nicer. Meanwhile, this is one of the first things that comes up when I'm looking for stuff on Trump. Jailed Egyptian aid worker freed by Trump administration defends radical terrorist group. I don't condemn Hamas. Says Egyptian American woman freed from an Egyptian jail with the help from the Trump administration in 2017 recently took to social media to praise Hamas and call it morally abhorrent to condemn them in the wake of their terrorist attack. I don't condemn Hamas and never will. Aya Hijazi posted on X on November 7th, a month after Hamas massacred more than 1,400, by the way, Israelis. I don't condemn Palestinians who exhausted every peaceful way on earth to end their occupation and save their lives. They didn't exhaust them. They were in the process of doing it. This was a rope-a-dope. I condemn anyone who asks the world to condemn Hamas. Good, then you condemn me, because fuck off. You are morally abhorrent with reverse standards, one for whites and one for everyone else. I guess because Jews are whites now. Is that the idea? What about the Arabs that live in Israel? The ones that are quite happy and have all the democratic rights. Anyways, that's her. This is Trump after freeing her in 2017. This is Aya Hijazi, an Egyptian American aid worker at the White House. She was released from 3 years captivity in Egypt with the help of the Trump administration. And she's siding with Hamas. So it was a big deal. There she is again. I got her out. Now you can jizz on my eye. Yeah. So the other thing is, let's see. Blink. Where is this? Fact check. The thing. Continue without disabling. Fact check. Trump falsely claims U.S. had no terrorist attacks during his presidency. Yes, these are the things. Okay. Facts first. Trump's claim we didn't have any attacks for 4 years isn't true. The claim is inaccurate. He was referring specifically to attacks by Islamic extremists. Let's see. Let's see. A mass murder. Let's see. Trump's own Justice Department alleged that a mass murder in New York City in 2017, which killed 8 people and injured others, was a terrorist attack carried out by a supporter of ISIS. Trump repeatedly lamented this attack during his presidency. Trump's Justice Department also alleged that a 2019 attack by an extremist member of Saudi Arabia's military, which killed 3 U.S. service members and injured others on a military base in Florida, was motivated by jihadist ideology and was carried out by a longtime, quote, associate of al-Qaeda. In addition, there were a variety of other terrorist attacks during Trump's presidency. Notably, Trump's Justice Department said it was a domestic terrorist attack when one of Trump's supporters mailed improvised explosive devices to prominent Democratic officials, CNN, and other people in 2018. As you do. In 2019, a white supremacist pleaded guilty to multiple charges in New York, including first-degree murder and furtherance of an act of terrorism for killing a black man in March of 2017 to try and start a race war. Good old the White Album, yeah, that giving us helter-skelter. Everybody keeps trying to jumpstart that shit. And Trump's Justice Department described a 2019 massacre at Walmart in Texas as an act of domestic terrorism. The gunman who killed 23 people was targeting Latinos. Trump claimed Nikki Haley, his Republican presidential rival and former U.S. ambassador, had proposed the U.S. take in a large number of refugees from Gaza, but she flip-flopped last week. You saw that disaster after proposing to flood America with refugees from Gaza. And by the way, use the word flood isn't an accident. That's the word that the Hamas leader used. They called the attack the flood, October 7th, and that's what they will call it. There you go. Did you see the Muslim American woman's put down of Susan Sarandon? No, I didn't, but I would love to see it. Tweet it to me or something, or shit it to me. What? Yeah, anyways, it was obviously a bunch of these. This is, let's see, tariffs in it, let's see. Horrendous, dangerous nations, which killed 8 people and injured, yeah. Yeah, this is this guy. Sayfullo Saipov charged with terrorism and murder and aid of racketeering in connection with Lower Manhattan truck attack. This guy, Sayfullo Habibullah Savpom of Patterson, New Jersey, 29, in connection with his alleged terrorist attack, which killed 8 people and injured 12 more. It's the guy that drove the truck through the running path, I think. Is alleged in this, murdered 8 innocent people and injured many more in a calculated act of terrorism in the heart of one of our great cities. We have the right to safely walk on the sidewalk or riding a bike. We will not change our resolve to confront these threats. That happened during Trump. Just remember that happened during Trump. Yeah. So
while he was there, in fact, at this point, if he had been going forward with the Abraham Accords, you'd probably have a pretty darn good alliance between Israel, Saudi Arabia, and the other Arab states.
Egypt.
And that was broken up completely by Biden because...
No, it wasn't. They've added on to it. They were in talks with Saudi Arabia. They haven't shut down the other ones. It hasn't been broken at all. It's like the Chinese tariffs. Biden has actually stacked on top of the ones that Trump put in.
Biden's in love with Iran. Biden wants to say he's a friend of Israel. And he sent hundreds of millions, and he had $6 billion headed to Iran.
Iran was broke.
Yeah.
She's quoting Trump. No, they weren't.
You can't tell me you're my friend if you're giving $6 billion to somebody who wants to kill me.
Well, they're not, though. Not everybody there wants to kill you. It's kind of like, let's imagine there is a standoff. There's a house, and the person has hostages. Some of the hostages can come and go, but if they don't come back, the person holding them hostage will kill the other people in the house that can't come and go. That's what the Iranian system is right now. And so at some point, if you're the cops outside and you're trying to work your way through this standoff and it lasts a couple of days, like Waco and us, you're going to want to start sending in some fucking sandwiches. Now, is there a chance that the guy, that's causing the standoff also has a sandwich and therefore has enough strength to hold his gun for another day? Yeah. But if the point is to save the hostages, that's part of it. That's the same reason why we have innocent until proven guilty in the United States. Better that, a dozen guilty men go free than one innocent man go to jail is the purpose behind our judicial system, because we want to make sure of that. We weight the justice system in the direction of innocence. And the same, we don't blame people in a country for the awful that is their leadership.
I mean, if I'm Bibi, I look at him and say, wait a second, I don't need a friend like that. You're giving $6 billion to a group of people who are dedicated. The most important thing to them is to destroy Israel and kill Jews. And
No, that would be Hamas and a significant portion of the Gazan Palestinian people, not Iran. The Iranian people, if you watch the Jasmine Revolution or the Arab Spring, the vast majority of those folks, if the Iranian regime fell tomorrow, those fuckers would basically be Europeans in an afternoon. As a matter of fact, you want to talk about like white versus anti-white and all this kind of bullshit? Because these motherfuckers are always talking about the Iranians like they're goddamn pets. Iran is, let's see. Let's find the, yeah. So Iran is the proper pronunciation of the country, as many of you have pointed out, which I think is a lovely thing. But do you know where the derivation of that word comes from? Anybody have any idea? Anybody want to take a flying fucking guess at the phonetic cousin of Iran pronounced with an accent? Anybody? Anybody? Please tell me this isn't the first time you guys are hearing this. Yeah. The root is because of the Iranian of the Aryan people. Like it is the place of the Aryan people. I am Darius, the great king, the king of kings, the king of many countries and many people, the king of this expansive land, the son of Wishtaspa of Achaemenid, Persian, the son of Persian, Aryan from the Aryan race. The above scripture is one of the most valid written evidences of the history of the Aryan race, and as can be seen, Darius in Persian, the Achaemenian king in the 5th century BCE, declares himself a Persian and from, I think that's a typo, from the Aryan race. Herodotus, the father of history, writes in his book, History of Herodotus, at the same time, in ancient times, the Greeks called Iranians Kaphe, but they were renowned as Aryans among themselves and their neighbors. In another part of his book, Herodotus writes that the Medians were known as Aryans during the certain period. So in 2 of the oldest written human documents, the race of the Iranians has been mentioned as Aryan. This, I just like that detail. Yeah, well, it means a specific group of white. It means that, it's not quite the Caucasus, like the Caucasians. Azra Nomani's X post. I don't know how to forward. Okay, I will. Azra Nomani's X post. I'll look it up. Oh, yeah. Muslim American scolds Susan Sarandon to visit a Muslim country before complaining about Islamophobia in the United States. That's the first time you've heard it? Well, I'm glad to introduce you. I love this. Now do Caucasian, right, because that's from the Caucasus Mountains around the same place, which my favorite Caucasian story, besides the Big Lebowski, of course, which can we just say that he looks like the third Lebowski in this? Like the Lebowski if he never let himself go and just decided to get that job at the Gap. But yes, Iranians are the master race. Yes. Well, the idea is that the Aryans are from that direction. Also, the Syrians believe themselves to be Aryans as well. Hence the alignment with the Germans. Hence the alignment with Hitler himself. Again, you can buy Hitler's stamps and Nazi memorabilia in Syria to this day, right? A lot of blue eyes in that area. A lot of blue eyes, even in amongst, if you're not talking about the sort of Arabs that came in from another direction, the split in Arab community. The Persians are not Arabs. It's a different group, right? So he looks like a Jeffy. Yeah, if he never if the Lebowski never became the dude and just became the dud abides. Right. Yeah, the postage stamps. Yeah. So the Persians are Aryans, and also their group up through mixing in with the Romans, the Greeks, and that whole area up in the Germanic tribes and all that kind of stuff. They all consider it the same. I like that, the dud abides. I just came up with that. That the Caucasians, my favorite is that a bunch of, I think it was in Texas, they decided to have a whites only to fight affirmative action. Anyways, they wanted to have a whites only college scholarship, and they made it, you had to prove that you were Caucasian. You had to have a certain percentage of being a Caucasian, and they used Caucasian as their thing or whatever. Well, the Indian people are all Caucasian. For all practical, legally, technically, they're fucking Caucasians. Don't forget the Celts. Are you kidding? I am one. That's where my folks came through. Half of them, anyways. Yeah. Market zero. Shut the fuck up, Donnie. Who's really white? Well, Trump's a lot less orange anyway. Prove you're a Caucasian. Pee in this cup, right? Well, the funny thing is, the people who signed up for that scholarship and got it were all Indians. They were all from India. They were all they're Americans. They're from here, but their genealogy comes from India because they're technically Caucasians and they qualified. So they signed up for this thing and they had the highest fucking scores. So boy, were they pissed. I love that. Yeah.
You gave them $6 billion, pal.
No. Trump gave them that $6 billion. It was held in a South Korean bank because he put a freeze on it during that time. They were going to unfreeze it in exchange for, what's that phrase? Human life. That's right. Getting our hostages back. Because $6 billion for a country ain't shit, and they would burn through it immediately. And also, it's a drop in the bucket. Really wouldn't affect them in any major way. And it certainly didn't get to Hamas because it never got to Iran, but it never got to Hamas because, did you see the fucking, their missiles are made out of water pipes. They landed in paragliders. They had AK-47s, which are fucking Russian guns. They hacked people to death with machetes. It's not $1 billion endeavor, fuckwad.
I know Bibi has to pretend, but deep down, he's got to know that this friend of Israel is a bunch of political crap.
Oh, you see? That's it, yeah. Oh, you see? I don't know what the fuck that was. That's the